you ever opened Instagram for just a minute and looked up 20 minutes later wondering where the time went? Here's what you probably didn't realize in those 20 minutes. The app wasn't showing you random posts. It was running an experiment on you, testing what holds your attention longest. And researchers found something disturbing. In less than 40 minutes, Instagram's algorithm can take someone from innocent fitness content to sexually explicit material without a single search, without following a single account, just scrolling. So the question is, what has it been training you for? You open Instagram for 5 seconds, and suddenly 20 minutes have disappeared. You weren't even looking for anything. You were just scrolling. But here's what most people don't realize. Instagram wasn't designed to show you what you want. It was designed to figure out what you will want next. And once it knows that, it starts feeding you a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. In 2021, researchers at the Algorithm Accountability Lab ran an experiment. They created fresh Instagram accounts, blank profiles, no history, no preferences. Then they did something simple. They liked a few fitness photos, just workout content, nothing sexual, nothing explicit. Within 3 days, the algorithm had quietly shifted. The accounts were now being shown increasingly suggestive fitness content. By day 7, the Explore page was filled with barely clothed influencers in provocative poses. The researchers never searched for this. They never followed these accounts. Instagram just knew.
This isn't a glitch. It's a feature. The platform has learned something about human attention that advertisers have known for decades. Sexual imagery doesn't just grab your eyes, it hijacks your focus. A study from the University of Wisconsin found that the human brain processes sexual images 30% faster than neutral ones. That's not a choice you're making, it's biology. And Instagram's recommendation system has been optimized not around what's good for you, but around what keeps you there. Here's where it gets more uncomfortable. Instagram's algorithm doesn't categorize content the way you think it does. It doesn't see a photo and label it fitness or lifestyle or suggestive. It tracks behavior. It watches how long your thumb hovers before you scroll past. It measures how many seconds you stare at a particular type of image. And when it notices you lingering, even for a fraction of a second longer than usual, it starts showing you more of that. Not because you asked, because you hesitate.
Former Facebook data scientist Frances Haugen testified before Congress in 2021 about this exact mechanism. She explained that engagement-based ranking amplifies whatever keeps users on the platform longest, even if that content is harmful. Instagram's parent company knew this. Internal documents revealed they were aware that their algorithm pushed users, especially young ones, toward more extreme content over time. They called it the rabbit hole effect. You start with something innocent, a dance video, a beach photo, a yoga pose, and the algorithm gently guides you toward the edge of what's acceptable, then past it. But let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice. You follow a travel account, beautiful sunsets, tropical beaches, adventure content, harmless. But the algorithm notices which posts you engage with most. Maybe it's the ones with a person in the frame. Maybe you double tap when there's a woman in a bikini by the ocean. You're not thinking about it. You're just appreciating the aesthetic. But Instagram is thinking about it. And slowly, very slowly, your feed starts shifting. More skin, more poses. The travel content doesn't disappear, it just evolves. The sunsets now have models in them. The adventure shots now emphasize bodies more than landscapes. Psychologists call this graduated exposure. It's the same technique used in desensitization therapy, except in reverse. Instead of helping you become less sensitive to fear, Instagram is making you less sensitive to sexual content. Each step feels small, reasonable. You're not jumping from travel photos to explicit material. You're being walked there, one algorithmically curated post at a time.
A 2022 study from the Center for Countering Digital Hate tracked this phenomenon across multiple platforms. They found that Instagram's recommendation system could take a new user from innocent content to sexually explicit material in under 40 minutes of simulated scrolling. 40 minutes, not days, not weeks, less than an hour of letting the algorithm guide your feed. And this isn't just affecting adults. The Wall Street Journal created dummy accounts posing as 13-year-olds. They followed a few cheerleading and gymnastics pages, content you'd expect a teenager to enjoy. Within days, Instagram was recommending accounts that sexualized minors, suggestive poses, inappropriate hashtags, content that existed in this gray zone between allowed and banned. Instagram's moderation team would eventually remove some of this, but the algorithm had already done its job. It had learned what kept that account engaged, and it prioritized engagement over safety.
Here's the part that makes this truly insidious. Instagram doesn't need you to search for adult content. It doesn't need you to follow explicit accounts. It just needs you to be human, because the pattern is always the same. You show interest in something, fitness, fashion, art, travel, and the algorithm finds the version of that thing that holds your attention longest. And almost universally, that version involves more skin, more suggestion, more sexual undertones. This is what researchers call algorithmic radicalization, but we usually only hear that term applied to political extremism or conspiracy theories. Nobody talks about how the same mechanism is quietly reshaping what people consume visually. You're not choosing to see more sexual content. You're being algorithmically conditioned to expect it.
And once that conditioning sets in, something else happens. Your baseline shifts. What used to feel provocative now feels normal. So Instagram has to push further to get the same reaction from you. It's the same tolerance-building process that happens with any stimulus. The first time you see something surprising, your brain lights up. The 10th time, it barely registers. So the algorithm escalates. Not because it has a moral agenda, because your engagement is dropping, and escalation is how it pulls you back in. A neuroscience study from UCLA found that dopamine responses to repeated visual stimuli decrease by up to 40% over time. Your brain literally gets bored, and Instagram's system is designed to detect that boredom in real time through your scrolling speed, your interaction patterns, your hesitation points. When it senses you're losing interest, it adapts. It finds the next level.
This is why two people can open Instagram and see completely different versions of reality. Your feed isn't showing you the world. It's showing you a personalized simulation built from your past behavior and optimized for your future engagement. And if that simulation leads you toward more sexualized content, Instagram's business model doesn't see a problem. It sees success. But here's what makes this especially dangerous. You don't notice it happening. That's the entire point. If Instagram suddenly flooded your feed with explicit content, you'd recognize the shift. You'd probably unfollow accounts or adjust your settings. But this process is gradual, invisible. Each post is just slightly more suggestive than the last. Your brain doesn't register the transition because there's no single moment where the line gets crossed. You're always one small step away from where you were yesterday and 1,000 steps away from where you started.
Psychologists call this the boiling frog effect. It's probably a myth when applied to actual frogs, but it's disturbingly accurate when applied to human behavior. Change something slowly enough and people won't resist. They won't even notice. And the most disturbing part, Instagram has optimized this process at a scale that's never existed before. 1 billion users, endless data, machine learning systems that improve every single day. This isn't some person in an office deciding what you should see. It's an automated system that has learned through billions of interactions exactly how to keep you scrolling. And one of the most effective tools it's discovered.
So, what do you do with this information? You can't unsee the pattern now. Every time you open Instagram, you'll notice it. That photo that's just a little more revealing than it needed to be. That suggested post that somehow knew exactly what would make you stop scrolling. That slow drift toward content you never explicitly asked for, but also never explicitly rejected. The algorithm isn't forcing you to look, but it's learned something about you that you might not want to admit. It knows what captures your attention, and it's willing to exploit that knowledge, one post at a time, until your feed looks nothing like it did when you started. You weren't looking for porn, but Instagram was training you for it anyway, quietly, gradually, without you noticing. Until now.